Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh, and hi to our lecturer. Today our group will present about tips for negotiating in Canada. Our group consists of 3 members, which is me, Hafiz, Nazhif, and Mohiyedin.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. I am Mohamad Anuwar, and today I would like to present about the tips for negotiation process in Canada. Most Canadian business people, especially those among younger generations, are experienced in interacting and doing business with visitors from other cultures. They often take a genuine interest in other countries and are usually open-minded rather than forcing their ways upon you. There are 4 points of negotiations process, which are: first one is attitudes and styles, second one is sharing of informations, the third one is pace of negotiation, and the last one is bargaining. For attitudes and styles, to Canadians, negotiating is usually a joint problem-solving process. With French Canadians, however, it may mean engaging in a somewhat more aggressive debate aimed at reaching a mutually agreeable solution. They may focus equally on near-term and long-term benefits. The primary negotiation style is cooperative, and people may be open to compromising if viewed helpful in order to move the negotiation forward. The second tip is sharing of information. Canadian negotiators usually spend time, sometimes a lot of it, gathering information and discussing details before the bargaining stage of a negotiation can begin. They may share a lot of information as a way to build trust. The third one is pace of negotiation. Negotiations in Canada often move at a rapid pace. Though somewhat cautious, Canadians believe in the time is money philosophy almost as strongly as Americans do. Accordingly, your counterparts will generally want to finish the negotiation in a timely manner and implement actions soon. Even complex negotiations may not require more than one trip, as follow-up negotiations are often conducted via phone and email. Canadians generally prefer a monochronic work style. They are used to pursuing actions and goals systematically, and they dislike interruptions or digressions. And last but not least is bargaining. Canadians are not overly fond of bargaining and dislike haggling. They can be tough negotiators but are usually less aggressive than Americans may be. Appearing confident and assertive is essential, though, since facing an apparently insecure counterpart may encourage Canadians to negotiate harder. State your positions clearly and be willing to push for it as needed.
Now I will present about bargaining in Canada. The majority of Canadians despise negotiating and haggling. So, you need to state your stance clearly and be prepared to advocate for it if required. Canadian negotiators may adopt clear stance at the start of the negotiation session. If you can persuade that you intend to hold your own, they may be more ready to accept compromise. The majority of people in this country expect negotiations to be conducted in good faith. They may, however, utilize dishonest negotiations strategy, such as speaking falsehoods and delivering misleading nonverbal signs, claiming to be disinterested in the entire agreement or in particular concession, misrepresenting representing an item's value, or making false requests or concession on occasion. Do not deceive or otherwise mislead your counterparts, since this can harm, if not ruin, commercial ties. Because good cop, bad cop needs great alignment between the participants, it should only be used by experienced negotiators who have spent time rehearsing the approach. It may be a strategy or the truth if well orchestrated. If you use similar approach, explain your offer carefully and avoid becoming confrontational. Use caution when attempting to impose time constraints. When dealing with Canadians, avoid using confrontational approach. As the negotiating becomes more heat, French Canadians may look hostile. Keep in mind that they might not see it that way. Other emotional negotiating strategies may become increasingly common. It is generally advisable to simply disregard these strategies. Using these tactics yourself, on other hand, may be surprisingly effective with some negotiators. Attempts to continually change the subject in order to confuse your counterpart may be met with resistance. Introducing written terms and conditions can be useful negotiations strategies, can assist shorten the bargaining process, which most of your Canadian competitors may prefer, unless they are founded on non-negotiable corporate policies. You should disregard such as attempts and require that all terms and conditions be addressed and agreed upon individually. Corruption and bribery are very rare in Canada, so you must avoid to give them a gift. So that's all for me. Thank you. So I will pass to the next presenter.
Okay, moving on to decision making process in Canada. Canadian companies are usually not overly hierarchical. Nevertheless, they usually have extensive policies and processes that may affect decision making. They are almost always followed. Decision makers are usually individuals who may or may not consult with others in the group or in the organization. Managers are expected to accept responsibility for their own as well as their employees' actions. Decision-making authority is often delegated to lower levels in the hierarchy and may not require any further approval from others. Generally, the size of the deal determines how high in the organizations you need to go. Once the bargaining process has concluded, decisions are often made quickly. When making decisions, business people may apply universal principles rather than considering the specific situation. This is especially true for French Canadians. Empirical evidence and other objective facts weigh much more strongly than personal feelings and experiences do. Canadians are medium risk takers who are often a bit cautious than American may be.
Hi, I'm Mohiyedin. Today I will be talking about the communication style in Canada. Different cultures communicate in different ways, and Canada is no different. Although many people feel the Canadian communication style is familiar, it does have certain features that can be a challenge to foreigners. Here are some of the communication style that Canadians use. The first one is the low context communication. Canada has a low context communication culture. Canadians tend to be very direct. They tend to say what they think and think before they say something. They don't rely very much on non-verbal cues, unlike in high context culture in countries such as Japan, China, and South Korea. People do not place a huge emphasis on saving face, keeping harmony, and protecting feelings. The second communication style that Canada uses is positive and friendly. The Canadian communication style is rooted in being positive and being nice. Canadians expect a smile, direct eye contact, and the appropriate greetings of the day before jumping into a conversation. They also tend to engage into a bit of small talk before starting a conversation, before jumping straight to the point. The third one is obligation free. Canadians need to feel comfortable when they communicate. One way they do this is to remove any sense of obligation when asking for something. Canadians use language softeners such as "would you mind" or "I was wondering if you could." This gives the people to choose an answer without being forced. The fourth style that Canada uses to communicate is diplomatic. Although Canadians say what they need to say, they also make a real effort to deliver a message that shows consideration. Being respectful and diplomatic is very essential. If Canadians feel a topic to be a sensitive topic, they may imply what they want to try to say and show respect. Showing respect in how you communicate is considered a skill in Canadian culture. So to effectively communicate with Canadians, we need to know that Canadians are direct when they communicate. They are very tactful and respectful. They prefer to rely on the spoken word for meaning and expect others to do the same, and they also expect a certain level of niceness and build trust quicker with those who use a more diplomatic approach. Now I'll be talking about how Canada managed the conflict in their country. So conflict is a regular part of our life. How we handle conflict affects the outcome of our negotiations, our business reputation, and our business relationships. Dealing with conflict in constructive ways will help us maintain and enhance business productivity. There are 8 steps that Canada used to manage conflict. The first step is to be aware. Conflict can arise at any time. Knowing this will enable us to take steps to effective conflict management. Approaching conflict as a normal occurrence helps us to turn potential disagreements into clear communication and improved processes. The second step is be proactive. Prevention and early resolution is the most effective. When issues arise, listen and reflect on what is happening. Consider how we can address difficult issues before they escalate to conflict. The third step is to seek to understand from different perspectives of an issue. There is always more than one way to interpret a situation. Reflect on what this issue means to us, to the others involved, and what is at stake for everyone. The fourth step is initiating dialogue. Initiate dialogue by listening and asking questions. This will help us to gain a greater understanding of what is hindering progress and will help us to address the issue better. The fifth step is knowing when to ask help. Enlisting the help of a neutral third party can assist us to clarify communication and prevent conflict escalation. When early awareness and response measures uncover issues, that need greater attention. Consult others, including a conflict management practitioner, for assistance. The sixth step is to assess our options. There are variety ways to handle a conflict, such as negotiation, conflict coach, facilitated discussions, arbitration, and litigation. A conflict management practitioner can help us to assess our options so we can decide what is the best possible way to manage an issue. The seventh step is to take action. We have to use our knowledge and resources to take action. This could mean developing or fine-tuning our conflict management skills through conflict coaching, taking time to prepare for a difficult meeting, or preparing for a facilitated discussion. And the last step on how Canada manage their conflict is reflecting on the situation. Reflecting on the situation is a key element in maintaining and enhancing productivity. We should ask ourselves questions like, what have we learned? What has the situation shown us about ourselves, others, or procedures? What we can change in the future to prevent similar situations?